Welcome back, fellas, to our final segment. We'll head off the field. And, fellas, we missed a birthday, and we almost missed the 40th anniversary of one of the great summer blockbusters. Earlier this month, Sylvester Stallone celebrated his 76th birthday. 40 years ago this summer, Rocky III was released in theaters. So, boys,
sure we're prepared for this.
I know you're not really prepared for this, but why don't we talk some Rocky?
I'm always prepared for this.
Oh, my Italian friends. All right. If you haven't seen any of the Rocky movies, there's going to be some spoilers coming up, but why don't we start with Rocky's stat line. There were 6 movies in total. 1.9 billion in box office receipts for those 6, and that's saying something considering that the average movie ticket price in 1976 when the original Rocky came out was $2.13. Rocky won the world title at least twice. His overall record was 57-23-1. That doesn't count his win over Drago because that was an exhibition, or how he won the Cold War for America. So I know that you guys have some strong feelings about this. We're going to dive right in. Which of these is Rocky's most valuable skill as a fighter? And I took all of these from the Rocky Wikipedia. It's got its own thing. Anyway, this is the list of valuable skills: iron jaw, speed, power, indomitable will.
If you can
change, public
speaking, and I can change.
Laugh. You're disrespecting Rocky.
Oh,
Chuck, I'm going to let you lead us off.
He got much better at public speaking
between
2 and 3. It's like he had some coaching, I think, there because he couldn't put 2 sentences together in one. By the time he got to 3, he was great. The indomitable will or the iron jaw? I think it's the jaw, to be honest, because most of his shtick is taking as many punches as humanly possible to the point where if you watch them now, it might become comical. But yeah, it's his iron jaw. He could take a punch from anybody for 15 rounds and still keep coming, which kind of lends itself to the will.
Yeah, those are it by far. No one got his ass kicked better than Rocky Balboa. And he just
Phil?
His strategy was, I'm going to let this guy kick my ass all fight because he'll be so tired of hitting me in the head that I'll be able to beat him at the end, right? Just a terrible strategy, but it worked. It worked for Rocky. So yeah, it's definitely the iron jaw with a very close second to the will for sure.
Oh, you guys are both wrong. It's public speaking. Give me a break, man. Stop. He goes from Rocky to if yous can change, I can change, we can all change, and he ends the Cold War. Are you kidding me? He had the entire crowd in Russia chanting his name, then he comes out with that speech. Oh, man. Is it possible that me not coming from a family where boxing was a big deal when I was a kid, like it was just not a sport we ever had on in the house, to becoming like a teenager and then my early college years and actually like watching boxing matches? Is it possible that Rocky ruined me for boxing? Because the first time I saw a real fight,
you're absolutely right, especially in the heavyweight division.
Each other.
Like you watch a real boxing match. Like, all right, these guys are just kind of dancing around and just playing with each other. No one's really like, wait a minute, where are these unbelievable haymaker type punches thrown that connect with the jaw on a regular basis? Yeah, if that was your this is what boxing is about, you were ruined for sure.
Chuck, if you had to pick one, you want to see a Rocky fight or a real fight?
Rocky fight.
Yeah.
I've seen real fights. I've never seen a Rocky fight, so I want to see a Rocky fight.
Oh.
All right. A little bit of trivia. What was Paulie's day job? Phil?
He was a mailman.
No. He worked
that's right. He was the meat packing.
Offered up for Indeed.com at the beginning of the show.
Meat
packing. The meat packing.
How did I not remember that?
That's right.
That's right. He was a meat
Rocky
packer,
won
and he
and
let
fought.
Rocky in to train by punching the meat. We're going to get to it. All right. Favorite Rocky bad guy? Apollo in Rocky 2, Clubber Lang in 3, Drago in 4,
Clubber Lang for me.
Tommy Gunn in 5.
Because of his off the field
Phil?
approach. Like everything Clubber Lang said to the media, if you look it up right now, is phenomenal. Like this stuff, just ripping on Rocky and his sex life with his wife, and just like, oh my God. Yeah. Clubber Lang's trash talk.
That's right.
Is
I'll show you a real
unbelievable.
man.
So he was my favorite villain. I never saw Apollo as a villain. I guess initially you did, and it was bad, but Clubber Lang was the baddest of the bad guys.
There is no question. It is
Chuck?
Clubber Lang, hands down. Well, I know his record. You said he had like 20 some losses. The only one you actually saw was Clubber Lang in the films. But what Phil's saying here,
Yep.
he questioned his manhood. He had no respect for the elderly because he basically killed Mickey. He killed Mick. He's the only fighter that had Rocky had to change his fighting style completely to fight again. So it's him by far. It's not even close.
I think we've disagreed more tonight than we ever have on this show, because I've got to go with Drago. I mean, height of the Cold War. He's cheating because he's taking like steroids as he trains. He's always like angry. He's got like spiky hair. He killed Apollo, and he didn't even like care about it. It's like, if he dies, he dies. Drago was terrible. He was the worst, man. He choked his coach at the end. Remember that? Like at the end of the fight, he gets all mad at him. He like throws him into the crowd and stuff like that when everybody's turning on him. No, Drago is by far the worst
second
villain. Although
choice.
Clubber's a pretty easy.
Drago was like
choice.
a robot. Clubber Lang was a bad motherfucker. So that was the problem.
Awesome. Yes.
Was it wrong of me not to include Thunderlips on that list?
In the flesh, baby.
Chuck?
Yeah, absolutely. There are many reasons why I think Rocky 3 is the best film out of all of them. I know what you're going to know. One as a drama. Yes, it won an Academy Award. It's a phenomenal film. But big picture, 3's the best. You have so many fights in that movie, you lose track. Then you have the fight at the end of the movie, and you don't know who wins until Creed comes out. However, Thunderlips, man, because it's just like lights out meatball when he drops the leg on him. He throws him through the crowd. I watch that and go, I don't know. And that, too, kind of propelled Hulk Hogan into the stratosphere where we all loved him and said our prayers and eat our vitamins because of him there.
Yeah.
Thunderlips is the ultimate male. So, yeah, I think that you may have – man, I might put him in the top 3 villains in the Rocky movie. Good call, Gerb. Yeah.
That was gonna be my next question. Where would you rank him?
No, because only
Phil,
because
is
and this
Thunderlips
is all
ahead of
right?
Drago in your mind as far as
Thunderlips
villains?
to me was a threat to Rocky, a bad dude in the moment, but then he posed for pictures with his family. It was the true, like,
It's true.
this is an exhibition. We're doing this for fun. This is crazy kind of thing. So I never really thought of Thunderlips as a villain until you just brought it up. So he's definitely not above Drago. I would put him, let's see. Let's go Clubber, Drago, Apollo, Thunderlips.
Okay. What was the most effective Rocky training move? Running through what looks like a lot of garbage in Philadelphia, fully inverted sit-ups, chasing a chicken, one-arm pull-ups on a jungle gym, sprinting into the ocean with his best friend, chopping down a tree, running up a mountain and yelling Drago,
Whatever.
punching meat.
Yeah.
Chuck.
Surprised he left out the swimming montage in Rocky 3 as well. I still think it's the beach running with the homoeroticism of it was very thick, even thicker than the volleyball scene in Top Gun, because you see you see him competing against somebody where you don't in running. I guess he's competing against the mountain, but to see him then beat him, because you get multiple sprint scenes and then the celebration in the water. It's the rippling muscles, the way too short shorts. There's something very interesting going on about it, but you see the gains. So that's all I'm here for, is to see Rocky's gains so he can then beat Clubber. So it's that training montage.
This is one of the
really.
hardest questions you have ever asked us on the pod. Like
Bill?
honestly, I'm sitting here listening to Chuck give an excellent explanation and thinking about it. And I think, all right, here's what we witnessed. We witnessed Rocky have to catch a chicken to beat Apollo. Then we witnessed Rocky had to catch Apollo to beat Clubber Lang. Then we witnessed Rocky had to basically shoulder press his entire family, including Paulie,
Oh, wow.
in a wagon, and then run up a mountain to beat Drago. So, yeah, absolutely. And then he had to run up a mountain.
That's true.
He had to get away from the Russians. Remember, he runs away from like their car where they're watching
that's
him.
a real deal. Like, all right, you can catch a chicken, you can dodge a wrench, but the but the montage in Rocky 4 when he is, because it's the way it's filmed, right? Like you've got Drago in all like the state of the art, computerized, hitting things that have computer generated output or whatever, and Rocky's in there doing inverted sit-ups, shoulder pressing his entire family in a wagon, and then running up a mountain. That's my favorite montage, but man, the other ones are really close. Like the whole Apollo montage to beat Clubber is fantastic, but that's basically what each movie was about. Like what can I do to beat the next guy? And it went from chicken to Apollo to a mountain.
It's pretty deep.
I mean, you're like the
If we
medical
tried to catch a
professional here.
chicken,
Which one
we
of
would
these is
tear
the most effective
multiple
that we can work
things
into our
bodies as 45-year-old
daily
men.
routines for
There's
staying in shape?
Just too many change of direction, lateral movements. We're right out. I think the only training montage that the three of us might be okay with that Rocky went through right now is probably the jogging up the steps and raising your hands over your head in Philadelphia.
It's true. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That
Anyone
does
could do
sound
that.
cool.
Yeah, you could do that.
I
We
think
could
I
do that.
think I did
Yeah.
that when we were on
Yeah.
like a family trip and we passed through Philadelphia. I think I woke up one morning, went for a run, and did it. Yeah, like you have to. Yeah. So Rocky 5, when he's training Tommy Morrison, and then he ends up fighting him at the end. Rocky Balboa are both kind of at one point seemed like they were going to be the capstones on the series.
Damn.
Which one of those movies
That's what I thought
should
you
be
asked the
gotten
hardest
rid of?
question ever.
Phil?
I'll be honest. I actually think I enjoyed Rocky Balboa better than I enjoyed Rocky 5. Is that what they titled that one? Yeah. They entitled it Rocky 5.
Five? No, it was 5. Sorry. Yeah.
Yep, it was 5. No, it was
Get rid
5.
of that one.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
Yeah.
For sure, it's that one.
Chuck?
I have so many problems with that movie, but mostly it's because he was a world champion, and somehow he lost all his money and had to move back into the place he used to live, and then he started talking like he did in Rocky 1 again. Like, you're telling me you couldn't get a multi-million-dollar analyst contract with HBO for boxing? Right. Like, no, like he's going back to the old neighborhood, and he's got the racquetball and the dumb hat. So, yeah, 5 was such a waste of time for me. That it definitely. And I'm with Phil. I actually think Rocky Balboa was a good film. It was a good movie.
Rocky Balboa takes an awful lot of suspending disbelief because he was like
George
60.
Foreman.
Like,
George
I don't care
Foreman
who
did
you
it
are.
for real.
You're that old. You can't step into the ring and take that kind of beating. Like, give me a break. But it was kind of a cool premise, and no, Foreman was like 40 when he did all that. Yeah. Still amazing. George Foreman's completely separate subject, but I agree with you guys. 5 is the least entertaining, and it's the one that needs to go, and it made no sense. And I kind of like Rocky Balboa because Adrian wasn't in it anymore. Overall, I think she was a lost leader for the series. But Rocky Balboa, you had to accept that, like, okay, this is absolutely crazy, but I love Rocky, so I'm going to watch it. All right. Tough one. Well, maybe not. Maybe this is easy. Which Rocky fight was the best? Chuck?
Shit. If I had to look at it from a pure boxing standpoint, it's either in 1 or 2 because that was really more about boxing. It became a little more unbelievable, even though 3 is by far my favorite. Because, like the You Ain't So Bad and blah, 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 that's really not. If I'm looking at it as a boxing fan, it's 1 or 2 probably. Up until Creed, I would have said the end of Rocky 3 is the best fight because you have no idea how it ended. It was as a kid, I can remember this is the coolest way I've ever seen a movie end, where they are circling around each other and then they're about to punch each other's face. That's the coolest thing I saw in the entire series. But I think it's either 1 or 2. I mean, they're both trying to get up, so maybe it's 2, right? Because they both try to get up at the same time, and then Rocky's will gets him up. So it might be 2 from a pure boxing standpoint, not from an entertainment standpoint.
I think the rematch against Apollo Creed is the best fight, and that's what Chuck's talking about, right? Like that is that
Phil?
That one. It's the only time we saw him fight the same person twice. After losing. Oh, that's right. In one movie. You're right. Yeah, that's right. Then he came back. You're right.
He fought Culver twice.
So
no, he fought Clubber twice.
Was it they extended the
loss to Clubber
and then occurred in Rocky 1, and then the rematch was in Rocky 2? Is that how that happened? Yeah. So I'm gonna. Right.
Yep.
Right. And it ends
because
with
the
them
big deal in
being
one was
wheeled
that
into the
nobody had
hospital,
ever
and
gone the
Rocky II
distance
starts
with
them
Creed
both
before.
being in the
And so,
hospital.
like,
and
all he had to
looking
do
like
to show
the
up
side of
was
beef that he beat up in Paulie's.
go the distance.
Oh man.
No, Rocky 2 starts with them being wheeled in. I just watched it this weekend. That's why we're talking about this.
So Rocky 2 just
Rocky
picks
1
up with
ended in the ring.
the very end of that, right?
Waiting
Like
for
they're being
Adrian
wheeled into the hospital right after
does
that
every
fight.
time.
So Chuck, what you were talking about, the second fight against Apollo was where you kind of don't like they both go down to the canvas, right? And you're like, that's my favorite fight because I know the outcome.
Yes.
And I still, when I watch it, I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
Like what's going to happen here? And I've seen it 100 times.
Get up.
That's the best one, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, considering the way we've started the show and how many times we've disagreed, I'm actually shocked that we get here. But I'm with you guys. I think it's Rocky 2. Man, it's the chance to see him beat Apollo. I think Apollo. Well, that was amazing. That was amazing. I wouldn't say that any of these movies have anything to do with like pure boxing. I think they're all pretty absurd, man. Rocky 1 and 2. Both those guys take an obscene beating. But I think that the chance to see him win, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for a happy ending. I thought that one was my favorite of the fights. Drago versus Apollo, probably number 2.
Was awful.
I'm
just kidding. It's a joke.
James Brown was there.
Drago versus Apollo.
At least James Brown was there.
Hardest working man in showbiz.
I can't even watch
James
it.
Brown opened up for that fight. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't watch that part of Rocky 4 if it's on TV. I turn it and I turn back for when he's driving his Ferrari and No Easy Way Out is playing. So what is it that I don't know if it's our age or just dudes in general. What is it that keeps bringing you back or people back to these Rocky movies that are now, like Rocky 3 is 40 years old?
I don't know that. Well, so they've transitioned.
What do you think keeps bringing everybody back? What brings you back?
So that's their attempt to grab a younger audience, right? Like, and they're good movies. They're really good. Like that's absolutely. That's your new audience, and they do a good job with it. But just Rocky, I think what Rocky is doing,
and it's working.
What a lot of other Hollywood franchises did. Like once they have their hooks in a generation, like, all right, all of you dudes that are, saw all the Rocky movies. If we put another Rocky movie out there, you'll probably go see it. So what brings me back? I don't know. It's in some ways, and I don't mean to put them in the same category, but in some ways, no different than the Top Gun movie we just talked about, right? Like there's that feeling of nostalgia, right? Like this is how I felt when I was 10 and I saw that movie, or this is how I felt when I was in high school and we watched that Rocky whatever together. So there's that feeling, and they know it. It's all about a feeling. So they put that out there, and everyone that's in our demographic is going to watch this movie. If not, run to the theater to watch it, eventually watch it on some streaming platform or whatever. So what brings me back is the fact that, hey, you know what? This has been a part of my life for almost as long as I've been alive. In fact, the first movie came out before I was alive. Yeah, right. So, you keep telling those stories, and I'm a sucker for it.
Yeah.
Yep. Chuck?
At its baseline, it's an underdog story, and everybody loves to see an overachieving underdog against all odds, cards stacked against you. You somehow find the way to win through will, not through talent, not through athletic ability, through will. So that's why I think a lot of people in our age demo like that movie. And there's a bunch of other things, really great characters, really over the top characters as it gets later. And don't discount the score. If you hear that score at any point, I still it's still.
Yep.
I can remember watching Creed opening night in the theater, and they waited and they waited. And when you heard that score kick in, like the hair on my arm stood up. So I was just like, part of that, it's all, but at its baseline, it is because he is the ultimate underdog. And you can see a reflection of everyday guy who's got beat up by life, didn't know how to make ends meet, and he defied all odds. That's what it is for me, I think. That's why I continue to go back to those movies.
Yeah, I think you guys are both 100% right. Yeah. There's absolutely the same type of nostalgia that we saw in Top Gun, all the way down to the theme music. Same thing, man. Like hair going up, like it's so exciting to hear the Rocky theme music come on. If I'm somewhere else in the house, I'm walking into the living room, dude. All right, cool. Rocky's on. Stop what we're doing, And it is that underdog, like, gosh, how is he going to do it? We all know how every single one of those movies is going to end, after the first one at least. How's he going to do it? How's he going to, climb the mountain again and do this? And I think something hit me because I did. There was a marathon of these on IFC this weekend. And that's how I started watching. I'm like, oh, my gosh, we should talk about this. This is fantastic. And watching the first one, and for the first time at 45 years old, seeing it in a way that it was like his life was such shit. He had no self-confidence. He had no way to believe that he was destined to be anything but a loser. But he finally decides that, no, I'm going to be something else. And he goes out there and he does this amazing thing. And there's that part where he's in the arena the night before, and he comments to the guy about how they got his shorts wrong, and they kind of blow him off, but you kind of see it no, fuck you guys. This is my shot. You owe me to get this thing right. I don't know. I saw something a little bit different this weekend that I hadn't seen before, but